Early last night on Lombok Island, and the quake is powerful. Around magnitude 6.9 and 30 kilometers deep. An initial profound and prolonged tremor, then aftershock after aftershock. Tonight, officials say around 100 people are confirmed dead. And all this just a week on from tremors here that took 17 lives. Still in the darkness, one man pulled alive into the arc lights of rescue. Others were killed outright. Today, thousands have been trying to get out by boat or plane. This, a beach on the Gili Islands, just off Lombok and popular with tourists, now a crammed escape route to evacuation vessels. Officials say more than 10,000 people have been taken off Lombok itself. Relatively well-heeled tourists can go, but for hundreds, perhaps thousands of local people, it'll be emergency food and shelter for a long time to come.
It happened around 8 o'clock. We didn't see it coming. Suddenly our house collapsed. Not only our house, but our neighbours' houses also collapsed.
No house anymore. Just land.
Long queues at the airports for tourists who just want to get out and away, and now.
The noise was crazy, so I thought, okay, this is bad, this is an earthquake. So I started running to the exit, but then everybody who was in the restaurant was also running through the exit. So there was like a big stampede and everyone fell, and there were like 3 or 4 people who fell on top of me.
My dad made me climb onto the roof of our house.
Yeah, not sure whether that was a good idea. I think that's when the tsunami, we thought the tsunami was coming.
Kondisinya aman, tidak ada ancaman tsunami.
In one small turn of good fortune, officials were able to announce the quake would not produce any tsunami. They say there are now more than 230 people seriously injured, and that figure, they stress, will increase along with the number of those killed outright. For others, though, it is almost miraculous. This was Bali, miles away, at prayer in the mosque, when suddenly, what if they had stayed put?
Well, joining me now from the Indonesian capital, Jakarta, is Saidul Islam, who's been on Lombok working for the charity Muslim Aid, because, of course, there was a big earthquake just a few days before. What are the conditions on Lombok now?
Where do I begin? If you can imagine returning home 7 o'clock in the evening and an earthquake erupting, the ground shaking, the first thing going through your mind is, I need to respond, I need to exit this building, but where are my family? Where's my mother? Where's my father? Where's my husband? Where's my wife? Where are my children? There's chaos in Lombok at the moment. Thousands of people have been evacuated. There's many campsites that have been erected. People are not living in their homes. They're unstable. They've been damaged. There's possibility that these homes could encave. It's chaos, but at the same time, there's huge amount of community spirit. I am amazed by the spirit, by the amazing community spirit. Muslim Aid's response has been predicated on volunteers, on the community, and they've been coming forward in droves with aid, with support, and looking to do good, very courageous, and really amazing people.
So will they have what they need from the Indonesian government?
There has been a response from the Indonesian government. As was mentioned, 8 days ago, there was a prior earthquake. So the government had stores of food aid and items already in Lombok. So it's about getting those items to where it's needed. NGOs have also been responding since last week. Muslim Aid, we were on the ground in Lombok after the first earthquake within the first 24 hours. So items are there. The difficulty here is access. If you can imagine whole houses are being demolished, there are landslides, infrastructure is damaged, you have roads that are not accessible, some communities become more inland, in more marginalized areas haven't been reached fully. So the response is ongoing. There is a big presence, but a lot more work is needed.
So what will the longer term damage be? I mean, how reliant on on tourism is Lombok? And what do you think the damage to that whole industry is?
The damage is huge. In terms of rebuilding in the future, this is actually a discussion we've been having here at Muslim Aid since today. So our response at the moment is an emergency response, which will focus on immediate needs such as food, water, shelter, hygiene kits, and etc. But also that will then morph into recovery, providing people with latrines, getting them back on their feet, getting them back into houses, and getting them in a better situation than where they were before. But that is still yet to be seen. We are still assessing, data is still coming from the field. There are still announcements being made by the government, by NGOs. So we're just waiting to gather that data. At the moment, it's emergency, but there are plans from Muslim Aid and NGOs at large to respond in terms of recovery and rehabilitation.
Do you know if there are places still to be reached? I mean, how sure can we be that we know the true scale of this?
I mean, the true scale of it, I think in the coming days, we will know the true scale of it. At the moment, the government has sent military, has sent their own national disaster systems and apparatus in country. We have been responding with our teams. We have 3 teams at the moment in right near the epicenter, actually. And so we are still collecting data. I think it's too early on to give you the full scale of the impact. As you can imagine, you know, I'm here trying to scramble together information, trying to get my team there. We're flying in volunteers and staff. We're trying to contact communities directly. There's been power outages in Lombok. As mentioned, roads have been severely impacted. The true scale will probably come in the next day or two, but it's significant. It is significant.